salad and pickled onions and things like that.
All Sussex gave a sigh of relief. It wasn't just a victory for Blake. It was a victory against martial law. The Duke of Richmond was in no mood to cheer. A victory dinner at John Marsh's, followed by Blake's gallop over to Paulina's. The Lady of Lavant on Alonso's pony, Bruno, accompanied by the Bard of Sussex, Haley on Hidalgo. Both men a little squiffy from celebrating Blake's acquittal. To Lavant for Harriet Poole's Freedom Party. The air of liberty rushing into the Rubicon faces as they laughed like young boys and galloped fast and dangerous with the excitement of being alive, galloping with Rose, his barrister, drunk with adrenaline, hogging the tract, spilling up a whooping cloud of dust, all the way from Chichester to Levant, shouting court case moments of drama to each other, this great release reducing Blake to tears of joy. Their hooves clattered and the earth thundered beneath them. Catherine was sick at home at South Moulton Street, fearing the worst, believing him condemned. Blake was desperate to get back to her. He'd take the express coach first thing tomorrow. But tonight was celebration time, an exhilarating, rough and tumble toast to freedom. At last he was free, free of the hangman's noose. It was loose now. The trauma of his ordeal would haunt him for the rest of his life. Even seeing the ghost of Schofield on his deathbed on the glorious 12th, the 24th anniversary of his Schofield confrontation. Yet the events were harnessed in the next 16 years, evolving into Blake's greatest poem, Jerusalem. This was written for the punk anniversary. 40 years ago in '76, I was a 19-year-old in the hottest, longest summer we'd ever known. And I was disillusioned with rock and roll. There was a knock at me door. My schoolmate, Mark Perry, showed me his fanzine, Snipping Glue. It's all happening again. You got to come back. I want you to write for the mag. He took me to see the Pistols at the Nashville, and my life was changed forever. I hacked away at me long hair and interviewed the Damned, Subway Sect, Jam, Cortinas, Hot Rods, and reviewed the first punk gigs all over London. For 10 months, till May '77, I was at the front line of pre-spitting punk. There, at the start of the pogo, suddenly it was all about attitude and energy and how not to play your instruments. The old farts of rock and roll became senile overnight. The audience in their droves were dared to pick up guitars and climb on stage. Punk was raw, back to basics, and for a brief period it was great to be alive again. The world turned upside down and punk was king and legends were born. This is called We Were the Punk Kings of Dyslexia. We were the Punk Kings of Dyslexia, the only fanzine to have 1 million spelling mistakes, and we didn't care. hammering away at our typewriters with 2 fingers. And if we mistyped, we didn't care. And if we misspelt, we didn't care. Because it was all for the moment, printing the fleeting second, the roller coaster zeitgeist. We typed what we felt as one-off honesty to the moment. Punk wasn't about nostalgia. It was anti-everything as an energy, rude, discourteous and humorous, debunking all and everything. Anybody who remembers much really wasn't there. It was a non-bookish, non-remembering time, living for the moment in self-destruction. It wasn't a time for anything but youth, excitement, grasping the nettle of the now. That was 40 years ago, and punks, gigs and places are all a smithereen of glorious punk vague fragments. This is called Two Cushions Shane. Snipping glue are girls, said Shane McGowan, as our train rattles on to Kentish Town to crash out for the night from a Pistols gig. Shane produces a rolled-up scroll of handwritten thoughts and reviews, 4 feet long. I immediately feel an inferiority complex coming on. You boys use typewriters. Only 1-finger jobs, I protest, but still feel inadequate. Yeah, we do use typewriters. I looked at Shane's Roman scroll. He's obviously learnt something from his short stay at Westminster before being turfed out. It looked cool. But then I turned on him. Call yourself a punk, Shane. Your shirt ain't even ripped. Tables turned. Now he feels inadequate and immediately begins tearing and ripping at his shirt to fit in. We crash at the squat. We're each given a cushion to keep down for the night. I go for a slash, and when I come back, the lights are out, and Shane has pinched me pillow. This is called The Damned, pop round for tea. I squeezed The Damned into my tiny bedroom and played them Frank Zappa on the record player and made him a cup of tea and toast as they looked up at all my drooping, yellowing, free centre posters from Sounds of Hendrix and Ian Anderson, and yes, sellotaped all together, spinning round the ceiling and on the floor and walls. A huge pile of melody makers and sounds going back to '69 on my wardrobe. There was nowhere for me to sit, so I stood by the record player taking requests. There weren't any punk records pressed yet, so I put on Amon Duel. Ray Burns in shades, hobnails and tutu, not yet Captain Sensible, squashed on my bed with the band, flicking through a yellowing melody maker, eating toast. My best mate, Danny Baker, called round and saw there was nowhere to sit as I put on Topographical Oceans and all the prog rock bands we were supposed to hate. And nobody complained. This is the last one for now. It's called The First Pogo. Sid handed a copy of Snipping Glue, immediately threw it on the floor as a punk gesture. Pack it. Another punk came up and asked me to autograph it, so I immediately cut it up with my nib, signing too hard. He seemed happy with the result. And then I stood on Sid's toe. He turned in the crowded 100 Club and thumped Claudio for the toe encroachment. Later, Sid was leaping like an exploding broomstick high into the air as the Pistols played Pretty Vacant. A lone pogo, the first pogo in a sea of stationary heads. Sid was wearing a rubber shirt, might have been a jacket, tacked together with endless safety pins, at least a dozen. Sid was the tallest punk anyway, along with Paul Simonon, so didn't need to pogo to see the Pistols or anybody. I was witnessing the first public pogo, and it looked strange. Sid was inventing our dance before our very eyes, simple and effective, an aggressive dance which alienated and angered hippies and DJs alike, a needle-jumping, nihilistic dance to get us all chucked out of clubs and parties, the dance of '76.